I commend artists. I mean, I have so many friends that are artists. I commend artists so much that go out and, you know, try to be a musician for their career. Because, and
Yeah.
then a lot of people are successful with it because they find their niche, they find their way to, whether it's, I'm a sync artist, I'm a songwriter and gives like, have songs for other people. I'm a performing artist. I'm a performing artist, songwriter, producer, this, that. Some people, I mean, it's just, you have to find your different way in it. But if you want to be a career person in music, you can find your way. It's
Yeah.
just what you work best for. So,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Couldn't agree more. So you do license music from indie songwriters, and you just said that you try to listen to
yeah,
as
quite a
much.
bit actually. So,
What's that?
quite a bit actually. So,
Okay. So, and now, listening to all that music, I mean, that must be tough to begin with. Do you sort of set a time aside once in a while to kind of just go bam, 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 bam through the songs, or how does that work for you
I
generally?
mean, it's kind of, the days kind of take their own routes. I mean, there's no kind of, as I said, what's the normal part of my day? Oh, I wake up, which I'm happy every day I wake up. Because if not, it's not a good thing. But it's whenever you have a chance. And I mean, it's when you're on a project and you're kind of more focused on your searches and things like that. That's a good time. Like this movie, especially. I've had lots of submissions. I've gone through my own personal library of stuff I already love and dig and stuff like that. So that's been a lot of listening. But I mean, it's pretty interesting now of how quickly I can go through a track and be like, oh, that's syncable. Oh, that could work for that project. That could work for that. That could work for that. I mean, be able to jump through it so quickly and just like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. Or at least have an idea whether or not it is possible to, make sense for a project.
Right. And while your mind is in that motion, what is the thing about a song that to you makes it syncable? Is it like just a gut feeling, or is there a specific thing you hear it and you're like,
I
oh,
would say the vibe of it, the genre of it, and there's no particular genre. All genres, have an opportunity, just based on whatever project it is.
yeah,
And production quality, production is actually a huge part of it because we need stuff that's going to sound good, that's going to add to the story, and not take away from. I think here's the big way to look at it. So basically, with the right song, you can make a good scene great. With the wrong song, you can make a good scene bad. With the, right, like perfect song, you can make a great song transcendent and like just gorgeous. But you can go both directions. If you choose the wrong music, and this goes a score also, you can actually make a project worse or a scene worse.
hmm,
But you can also make it a lot better. And the
right,
goal is always to help tell the story better. So it's basically making music another character in the film or TV show, et cetera.
right, okay. Now, going back to that thing about indie songwriters and you using a fair amount of indie music,
Yep.
what are some of the things that, so just to preface this, in the course, our course, The Art of the Song Pitch, one of the biggest things is to teach them to make music supervisors a product that is totally in sync with the industry, right? So it's like they know what clearance is, they've produced it properly, they understand what lyrics may or may not work and all of this stuff. So we cover a bunch of different things, and then even how to sort of approach a music supervisor and stuff like that. So for you personally, like if you're looking at an indie songwriter who's not affiliated with a library or anything like that,
Yep.
what are some of the things that that are super important right away that they have to have, or that would shut
Well,
the deal
yeah.
down immediately? Or
Yeah,
something?
the most important stuff I'd say is a metadata of the tracks. Like basically, when you send me a folder or something like that, all your tracks, like if I click info on it, it pops up your email address, your name, splits on it in case, hey, we need to clear this. If they're one stop, that's always nice to have in there. If it's like, you own master and publishing, so that'd be one stop. That's nice to know. If you have a publisher, I mean, it's like, I don't hold it against people for, being successful. That's good. That's what we want. We want artists to become more successful. I just want the info up front and to know what basket, these songs actually fit into. because different projects will have different, monetary and creative opportunities. And as long, it's just knowing the information. Because I know there's times where I've downloaded tracks, put them into iTunes, and they all pop up as track 1, track 2, track 3. So it's, the metadata is very vital, because if I can't figure out who it is, and then no artist name or like that. So basically, if I can't figure out who it is, what the track name is, the contact info, I'm just moving on to the next thing, because it's not worth my time to go try to figure that out. So.
And so last question here, Chris, is what would be, like, say, the top 3 pieces of advice that you could give, a songwriter when they're trying to submit their music for TV and film?
Well, let me add one thing that I like for songwriters. If an artist wants to be an artist, they should always write the music that they have to exude from themselves. They can do alt mixes or alt versions or other songs for sync. I know some people are just now focused on sync, which that's totally cool too, because that's a very viable market. But if somebody is going to be an artist, they should never change the way that they write a song for film, TV, trailers, commercials. They can always do alt versions for it, but you should always create the music that is inside you, that you have to get out of you, because that's the only way you're going to be happy as an artist. Then for the sync stuff, you can even, like, say it doesn't work under your artist, name or that kind of brand you're creating, I guess. You can always do a side project. And I have lots of friends that they do different, like, styles of music, and the way they separate it is these different side projects. And that way, like, if they're doing a more kind of pop friendly, driving, this and that, it's this side project. They're doing singer songwriter, it's a side project. It's a good way to differentiate, and that not kind of like meddle with, the band that you've been creating, or the artist you're trying to be throughout, all this time. Because it is tough nowadays. Somebody puts in your name or something like that band name, all this stuff will come in like, wait, that's way to, like, left field. What's going on here? So sometimes it's nice to kind of mix it up. But I always try to tell artists, like, make the music that is inside you, that you have to get out, because that's what life's all about. You got to do what is inside you, and what you feel is just that thing that makes you tick. But for, advice for songwriters, stuff like that, I would say always work every day, work on honing your craft, write, record, co-write with other people. That definitely broadens your spectrum. Try different producers, or if you produce yourself, bring in other players and stuff like that to write with and things like that, because, you have your own kind of vibe, but for some reason you bring one other person in a room and something else might just click. Having your splits, metadata and all that, and all your tracks, that's a huge, that's just hugely helpful for everybody, because that way you're prepared. Because also you kind of get one shot with supervisors, and if I'm having to track down stuff or figure out stuff of, like, hey, where's this? Hey, what's the contact info for this, that? It doesn't really give me the confidence to come back again. Or if there's an issue, that can definitely, it just makes it more difficult, because basically we're trusted by the projects, like the producers, the studio, the network, et cetera, to have everything creatively, number one, but number two, legally, because we can't air stuff if we legally can't get it signed off on. And people are only as good, the paper's only as good as the person that signs it. So basically you have to, know what you're representing. And I mean, like, when people hit me up, hey, I'm looking for, say I'm looking for a pop song for a montage about summer, which I actually am right now. So say somebody doesn't have that track. They're like, no, I don't have anything for you. I'd much rather hear that than somebody send me something random that's totally off base, because then I'll actually come back to that person later and be like, hey, do you have anything like this? I don't have that, but hit me back next time. Because I've had that whole, labels or publishers or independent artists or third parties, hey, I'm looking for indie rock driving for a bar. and they send me a bunch of hip hop, and it doesn't make me ever want to go back to them. I mean,
Right.
I remember in the CD days, I'd get boxes of priority hip hop, and I'm like, what, where did this come from? Like, I didn't ask for that. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's something.
I think it's just being honest and upfront and actually having, your ducks in a row, and ready for the opportunities when they arise. Supervisors tend to be the times that we're busiest is the times that, people are going to be pitching more and like, hey, check this out, check this out, check this out. And also if we don't necessarily have all the time to email everybody back, because then we'd be professional email sender back, like, senders. But I would say don't get upset if you don't hear back, because you actually have a better opportunity to have something happening in the time that we don't get back to you than if we do get back to you. Because if we get back to you, you probably don't want to talk to us at that time because we're not busy. So,
Right. Good point. Now, just one little offshoot from the first thing you said about alternate versions. Would it fall under the same idea that you could take a song and then do a remix? Is that what you mean? Like you could take your song that is not suited to something, but you're saying, you know what? I know there's a couple of shows looking for summer pop, whatever.
yeah.
My song could be that. I'm going to send it to this producer and do a remix in like 4 days. Is that?
Yeah, I would say remixes. I'd say stripped down versions, acoustic with like cello, something like that. I mean, there's all kinds of different things, or make it, more kind of epic and trailer-esque, or, for a montage. Because, I mean, songs, especially like end of episode songs, stuff like that, they kind of have a little bit of a formula to them where they start off more sparse, kind of kick in. It's, say it's guitar, piano, and percussion kind of coming in, but then, they have ebbs and flows and like these big explosions. And, the end of the episode, most serialized shows and stuff like that tend to be like, oh, it's a reason that you're going to watch next week because this crazy thing just happened at the very end.
Right.
So we try to intensify that. So maybe it's, finding a song and finding that kind of just kind of epic kind of ending that you create for an escalation in that. So,
Okay. Cool.
But I mean, I think you can go both ways. You can go make it bigger, make it smaller. I mean, sometimes less is more. I mean, sometimes overproduction can actually take away from the song.
Yeah.
I mean, there's actually a Muse song right now. It's called Dig Down. They have out. I went to go listen to the record, and they have an alt version with like a gospel choir and acoustic. The gospel choir acoustic version is so much better than the electric version.
Right.
It's just insane. It's like, wait, this flips the entire, like, what it's trying to convey. And I mean, it's actually like super uplifting, could be, featured in all kinds of different stuff. And it's just really cool. But seeing that, just changing instrumentation and, some of the pieces of a song can actually change what it conveys.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
really cool.
Yeah. That's amazing, Chris. Like such a wealth of information here. Like these aren't one-line answers you're giving back here. You put a lot of mortar between the bricks, as I like to say. So.
Yeah, I'm passionate about music and, artists and success and stuff like that, and want people to, it's funny. Like sometimes I feel like I'll do panels and things like that. And sometimes I feel like I'm just saying things that I'm just like, oh yeah, this, that, just kind of throwing it out there. And it's interesting to me. And the reason why I do things like this is because sometimes the most minuscule thing to me that I just take for granted information can be an epiphany for an artist. It's like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. Or I've never, read that or figured that out. And sometimes it's like, oh, okay.